Tonight on CTV, hear about LGBTQ plus safe spaces and new art gallery on campus and what's happening with graduate student fees.
Then take a look at what happened this snow day, faculty's opinion on new President Amy Parsons, and find out why you haven't been seeing these beloved geese around campus.
All this and more tonight on CTV.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Naomi Hillmer.
And I'm JJ McKinney. Thank you for joining us tonight.
A pedestrian was fatally injured Tuesday night after being hit by a bus on the 6500 block of Portner Road in Fort Collins. An adult male was found on the scene of the accident when the police arrived and was transported to a nearby hospital, where he was pronounced deceased due to his injuries. The bus driver was not injured, and there is no suspicion of driver impairment at this time.
Stephen McNeil was arrested on suspicion of homicide after authorities and medical personnel found Daniel Hopton with fatal injuries in the parking lot of a Fort Collins apartment last year. McNeil, Hopton, and 3 others were spotted driving around in said parking lot the night of Hopton's death. McNeil, Hopton, who reportedly already had an abusive relationship filled with domestic abuse, according to previous police reports, stepped out of the car and got into an argument about the relationship. After a while, screams were heard, and McNeil came back to the vehicle and said Hopton was dead. McNeil will be sentenced March 24th and faces up to 40 years in prison for Hopton's murder.
A Fort Collins police officer pled guilty to a misdemeanor assault charge on Tuesday after being arrested last May. According to an arrest affidavit, FCPD's Valerie Pedraza headbutted a victim in an argument outside of their home, causing minor injuries. She also intended on damaging their home security cameras with a large metal rod. Pedraza was fired from the Fort Collins Police Department last November, and after entering a guilty plea for the third-degree assault, was sentenced to 18 months in jail. Now we're going to go to Adam Carlson here to bring you this week's weather forecast. Adam?
Thanks, guys. Good evening, Rams. My name's Adam Carlson, and I am here to give you your weather rundown for the week. Current conditions, we're going to see it's cloudy out, 30 degrees, humidity about 57, and 7-mile-per-hour wind. Now, historically, January is the windiest month in Fort Collins, but it may be time to look at the cold temperatures. This weekend, we will be hitting the negatives at least for a little. Being outdoors in negative temperatures is not advised for more than 30 minutes, so make sure to keep your trips as short as possible. Heading into overnight lows, we're going to see down that I-25 corridor and in the Eastern Plain, mostly 20s, with Lamar and Lyman hitting us in those 13 and 14 respectively. Heading over to Craig, we're going to see 16 degrees, and the rest of the western side, all over the place. -10 in Gunnison and -8 in Alamosa, and everywhere else just a little bit warmer than that. Now, tomorrow's highs is going to be pretty much our last warm day before the storm hits. Generally, Eastern Plain I-25, 30s and 40s, Pueblo even hitting 50. Then when we head over to the northwest side, Craig and Vale both at 27, and then we have the rest in those 30s and 20s. Now, tomorrow, what can we expect for Fort Collins, 37 as our high and 20 as our low. It's going to be cloudy out, and humidity is about the same, and it's the last we can expect for this warm weather because over the weekend, we're going to get snow all week long. Now, don't let it throw you too off guard. We're not supposed to get more than an inch, but it's going to get cold. Monday night even hitting -1. But Tuesday, Wednesday will bring us back up, but not quite to where we are right now. And that brings me to the end of the weather rundown for you all. But stay tuned, because JJ and Naomi have more news after the break.
Welcome back from the break.
After months of searching, Colorado State has hired the 16th president of the university, businesswoman Amy Parsons. Coming off the departure of former President Joyce McConnell last year, Amy Parsons became president-elect on December 16th. However, not everyone was satisfied with the CSU administrative team's decision in leadership, with staff and faculty alike voicing their concerns about Parsons. CSU faculty have been pushing back against Parsons' hiring, expressing reservations about her to former interim President Rick Miranda in several meetings leading up to her election. One of the concerns brought up was Parsons' work history, which some faculty members believe make her unqualified for the job. Parsons has had a 16-year background in the CSU system as the executive vice chancellor before leaving to found e-commerce company Masfiato. This led many faculty members to be dismissive of Parsons, claiming that her background is not aligned with academics or student needs. With multiple sides weighing in about Parsons, from equity to a trend of non-academic hires, many are eager to see if her presidency will be a success. We'll have to see when Parsons is officially sworn into office February 1st.
After nearly 3 years of graduate assistants asking for compensation from CSU, they will now be receiving a 50% decrease in their student fees this spring. This comes from a phased-in approach to compensate mandatory student fees, which have been around $1,200 each semester in the past. Since 2019, graduate assistants have been rallying for a change. Cassidy Esposito is one of many graduate teaching assistants who feel underpaid, even after CSU has made efforts to increase their compensation.
When I first came in, there wasn't a lot of transparency about finances. That's probably the case with all departments, and even as an undergraduate, there's not a lot of transparency about what kind of student fees do and what they're for and why they exist.
CSU's Graduate Workers Organizing Cooperative, or GWOC, started the campaign for greater compensation. But their first big rallying cry is yet to be satisfied. As GWOC attests this victory partially to their cooperative's hard work, they also give thanks to interim president Rick Miranda, who helped cut through the red tape, working with colleagues like the Associate Dean of Graduate School and the Graduate Student Council President.
It's been a really nice example of how campus can come together to address a critical need and really solve it.
To them, covering these fees are a way to not only make CSU's graduate program more competitive, but also improve the lives of many students on campus.
You cannot be your best version if your basic needs aren't being met. And this is why CSU is saying, hi, we heard you, you've been saying these things. And we acknowledge that. We also want you to be your best.
Hopefully in the long term, it means something that the grad school was able to really push for this and that the university answered, but I still think there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
CSU plans to reach 100% compensation by 2025, and while this is a stride in the right directions for CSU, graduate assistants are left wanting more.
For decades, the LGBTQ+ community has been looking for a place to belong and be their authentic selves, all while fighting for their civil rights. The local LGBTQ+ drag venue, the R Bar and Lounge, is Fort Collins' community's way of providing that safety and security. Drag queen Chloe Katz has had a long journey on the road to self-love and acceptance, coming from a Nebraskan Christian background.
I was born and raised Holy Ghost Pentecostal Christian. So for me, I had to do a lot of disassociation from theology in order to actually accept my sexual orientation.
With over 5 million people in the U.S. in the LGBTQ+ community coming from religious backgrounds and homes often with negative views towards homosexuality, according to UCLA, it can be hard to find a place to belong.
At the end, I was able to come to that acceptance of who I truly was, and that's a big part of it, but the second biggest part of it is finding your tribe.
That's where the R Bar and Lounge comes to help.
It's just all family here. Like, if you come in here, you're family. And we've tried to really build that in the last 7 years. This is an alternative bar, so everybody is welcome here.
A host of various events, especially drag shows open to the entire community, the R Bar shines in more ways than one.
Ages-friendly drag brunch. So it's myself, another entertainer, and then this underage entertainer who's 14 years old and is incredible.
With drag queens showing love and pride, and with community members feeling more accepted and showing support, the LGBT community may have more places like R Bar, encouraging those who need places to feel safe to belong to come.
Love yourself, love yourself. Once you can accept and love yourself for who you truly authentically are, then you can go from there and find your safe space, find your tribe, and you can come and you can be a part of something bigger than yourself, and you can be shown love just for being who you truly are.
Safe spaces like the R Bar may be around the corner to anyone who is looking for a community to call home.
Our bar seemed like it was a really fun place to visit. What was it like there?
Oh, it was just loud. Like first and foremost, loud. But everybody there was so accepting and just wonderful. And I remember there was a person who specifically ran, like he didn't mean to run into me, but he ran into me, and he said, "Oh, my bad, dude." But then he also took the time to say, "Hey, it's dude, correct? Like, am I getting your pronouns right?" And while I'm cisgender myself, the fact that he took the time to even say something and to be honest about it, it was just a really fun and accepting place.
Yeah, it seems like it was, like, as you said, a very safe place to be and a fun place to be.